What's going on, guys? Jeff Van here, Henry J. Hyde on the screen, and it's going to be a game in a Tirpitz. I've been trying out a different setup here, and if you go back to looking at Hyde, I have Joe Jard on there, and I have Von Hipper. So with that secondary setup, we're looking at 8.3 kilometers. I know I had the anime one, Haruna, or whatever her name is, one that looks like she's in like a super oversized jacket. I had her on there for a while with this build, and I realized and I kind of noticed that the main guns really struggled to do penetrating damage, especially at medium range. So, and I know that got up to 8.6, 8.7 kilometers, but I ended up making a trade to Joe Jard just so those main guns get a little more pop, and you're going to see a little bit more of that this game. This isn't going to be some high crazy damage game, but it's a way to show how to basically play the Tirpitz, how I like to play Tirpitz, and you know, a decent game. They're showing it's gonna be like a 2,500 base XP game. So, you know, solid performance, nothing like legendary, over the top, god-like performance, But again, it's gonna show just what you can do in Tirpitz when you play it right. Now I've decided between all my commanders. My Celiax build, I have a full secondary build, so I do have the Haruna on there, commander, and I have Von Hipper. So that basically, if I decide to do that, I have the Fight Fire with that on there. So this is a little bit more of my balanced competitive style build, and that's more of my just pure secondary, just madness build, where everything is all secondaries all the time. So this one is, I think, going to be my main build for Tirpitz, and the reason why is because you notice a lot on this ship, people don't, they don't want to get close to you. They know you have torpedoes. You don't have necessarily that same speed to close in and be a damage dealer and cause that massive damage by being able to close in with your speed. So by not having the dominant speed, I mean, you have competitive speed, right? So you're competitive at the tier, but you don't have exceptional speed where you can close on people who are still running away from you. So I've noticed a lot that people play against you very cautiously. They don't push you and brawl with you very well. And at the same time, when this thing does decide it wants to go in and brawl, and let's say you are in the ship and you do say, let's go in and let's get into a fight, you get focused a lot because they know that you have torpedoes. So I'm actually kind of a fan of that. I like the fact that people are taking note of strategic situations and strategic targets on the map. It's important. So again, here I'm trying to find a broadside target. This is a good learning moment. I got to pull the guns. I got to pull the trigger at some point here. I got to use these guns. So you see there, I aim, and again, with the combination build that I have going here, 22-second reload on the main batteries, pretty good. Okay, but again, you still have German dispersion, and German dispersion is not the best, right? We've talked about it for a long time now. I'm not a big fan of German dispersion, even with Henry Hyde on there, not the best. But you do notice a little bit of a difference, in my opinion. So this overall setup here, I think, is the most competitive setup for Tirpitz. So you see here, again, we're in the B cap now. And we had the A, and they're flipping the A. So Iowa's going broadside. We're going to take some shots there. And, of course, they're going to all clip the mountain, so we're not even going to waste the rear turrets. We're going to hold on to them. And I'm going to go support our Khabarovsk here on the A cap. But at the same time, I don't want to be sailing out giving flat broadside to all those battleships. So I'm going to turn out, point my guns at the A cap, and see what I can do to help. Okay? So 9.7 kilometers away, the lightning, 4 in closing, and I'm gonna try to do what I can. Even if I hit 2 or 3 shells, that can be the difference between our friendly destroyer winning and losing. And you see there, 6 overpens, pretty big ripper salvo. That basically that shot flipped that fight between the Khabarovsk and that lightning. Now, granted, obviously Khabarovsk should still dominate that fight, but crazier things have happened in the past. But that salvo that we sent his way basically seals it up and guarantees that Khabarovsk will win in that engagement. So, again, your job, regardless of class, is to help fight the enemy destroyers. And the reason why I think that a lot of people in Battleship say, oh, but the dispersion isn't the best, and I might miss. Well, guess what? Destroyers are your biggest threat to immediately ending your game, right? They're your biggest threat. So what should you do to your biggest threat? You should engage it. If you have the opportunity to engage and assist your team in fighting your biggest threat, then you should do that from a selfish standpoint. From a team standpoint, they're the most influential ships in the game, and you need to do everything you can to help your team win, right? So you have both sides of the coin there. Okay, if you're in it to win it as a team first guy, then you have your reason. If you're in it because you want to do damage and you want to have fun, well, guess what? You know what the number one impeding thing to you getting your damage and staying alive in the game is? Yeah, that's right. It's a destroyer nuking you with torpedoes. So take your shot at it, get rid of it, and then you can go back to throwing your damage out. So again, regardless of your playstyle, that destroyer should be a target when they pop up. So again, I hope you guys were able to get the Henry J. Hyde when he was on sale for the Halloween event. If you didn't, tough break. If I had to make a choice again, I said this before in my Tirpitz video, and I'll say it again because, again, this game is constantly adapting. It's constantly changing. Things are, improving or getting nerfed, getting bugged, getting buffed, So this game is constantly evolving, especially once new ships are introduced, the playstyle changes, all those good things. I still believe that Ciliax is the second best command for this ship. Reason being is, Ciliax helps amplify the tankiness, quote unquote, the survivability, and the ability to get up and brawl. And again, that's what German battleships are all about. I'd say the only battleship that's not a brawler is the Idle Friedrich. And that's just because it doesn't have turtleback, and it's basically designed to be more of a medium range engaging ship. And it's got very accurate guns, especially for Germans. It's got very accurate guns. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's accurate regardless. So again, I think that Ciliax is a good choice. I also really like the Henry J. Hyde. Gives you a little bit of that extra HP. So, that's my choice for commander here. And then maybe we'll have a Ciliax build come out sooner or later. But the Joe Jard on there, it does make a little bit of a difference. You may not see it right away all the time, but again, if you play 5 games without the Joe Jard on this, right, 5 games with it, you will eventually notice a difference, that you are penning more, you are doing more consistent damage with your main batteries, and that to me is important, because again, your primary source of damage is your main batteries. Now, while it is nice to have secondaries that can shoot super far and be very effective, how long is it going to take for the secondaries to do 5,000 damage? It's going to take some time. How long is it going to take the secondaries to cause like a Citadel worth of damage, like 16,000? A long time, right? So yes, secondaries are nice, but again, your main batteries are your bread and butter. That they're going to do the most damage. So you see we did a good job here. We went through the A cap, we took the B cap, and now we're swinging it around. We're going to pinch them against the C cap, and I'm basically getting broadside targets here. Now, the only thing that's a threat to me, my personal broadside, and that's preventing me from being able to basically perform a flanking maneuver and a hard pincer on them, is this Monarch. The Monarch is the only thing that's checking my move, right? So what do? I engage the biggest threat to me. Monarch has my broadside, therefore I must engage Monarch in order to defend myself in the future, right? It's a call it whatever you want, big term strategy. It's a preemptive strike. It's a this, it's a that. Ultimately, it's me making the smart play on my team. We cleared this up, then you look at what's left for the enemy ships, and we're in a position of extreme power, because even with them engaging us, right? So Iowa and Georgia beginning to angle up against us, it still means that the fire spammers and the battleships that are toward the sea cap are now going to have broadside. So regardless of who these two angle against, they're giving a shootable angle to somebody, which is important, okay? That's a big proponent of this game, and you see the HE chiming in from our friendly cruiser over there between the B and the C cap. So you see me ping the sector on the map there, basically saying, hey guys, these guys are dead to rights if we decide to target them and we fire at them, so let's get rid of them. Atago pops up there. I throw the salvo out because I'm trying to knock him out. He's the biggest threat to me with his HE spam. And unfortunately, we only get one overpen. So again, you still see there is some wonkiness on these German guns. And there you go, you see the Georgia salvo doesn't do a whole ton of damage. But again, the problem with Tirpitz is the superstructure has so much HP allocated to it that when you do get shot in it, you take some serious damage. But we return a salvo toward the Georgia, and we end up knocking Georgia out of the game. Again, because the Americans, the issues that the Germans have, the Americans also have the same issue. They have so much HP allocated to that superstructure that it is very punishing when you do shoot them in that upper belt, basically right above the belt armor. So you see there, we put a decent salvo on. We're got the secondaries chiming in there. I'm waiting, I'm holding my torpedoes, and I decided not to send them out. Now the reason is because I was kind of trying to see if I could bait him here. And what I ended up doing was I made him think that I was going to shoot the torpedo, so I wanted to see if he would turn, if he would slow down, what he was trying to do. And at this point now, I'm not even going to try to use the torpedoes for the moment here. I'm going to keep angled well against him, and I'm going to try to basically see if I can get his broadside, and I'm going to try to punish him. And unfortunately, even with Jojard, we still get 4 ricochets. So he had just enough on the angle to prevent that. And ultimately here, I think he's kind of preparing for a ram situation. And so I decide that it's my job, number one, my biggest threat, all of a sudden the enemy destroyer pops up, so I got to angle up against him. Obviously torpedoes are on the way, and I can send those torpedoes out against the Iowa. And unfortunately, at the very last second there, I was not able to knock him out. Maybe if I were able to aim a little better, I could have got the rear guns on him. Didn't end up happening. So that's where my game ends up finishing. But again, you see some of the secondaries are working, and you know, again, I just kind of want to talk about the importance of being able to flank your enemy and envelop your enemy, and then being able to pick which target is the best target to shoot at. So, good job there by the enemy Iowa. He actually did the right play. Regardless of the situation, yeah, they're going to lose, but still, it's the right play. You're basically about to die, and he was able to take me down with him. So, I was almost a 3/4 health, or 55–60% health Tirpitz, and he was able to knock me out with his 5,000 HP left on his Iowa. So it was a good play by him. Key here, you're going to see we're just going to follow some of these guys in the last little bit of this game. But in general, like I said, I was messing around with my commander build, and I do think that the Jojard is a good choice for an inspiration, even more so than that secondary second commander that gives the secondaries the boost. So that's where I'm at on it right now. That may change in the future, but again, so between my whole commander setup, I think it's a good mix between the ability to have effective secondaries that can reach out to a decent distance, and main batteries that are still your primary focus, your primary damage dealer, and can actually give you that little bit of boost, that little bit extra against those well-angled targets. So in general, I think that Jojard is a good inspiration on these German lines. Some people say that Cunningham is a better one. Yeah, I understand that. But again, to me, would I rather hit two shells and ricochet them, or would I rather hit one shell and get a standard pen? So, because maybe that one shell that does hit, even though I don't have the better dispersion or grouping, maybe that one shell that does pen with that Jojard gives it that just enough to get that penetration, as opposed to a ricochet or a bounce. So I don't know. It's just my thought process right now. It's open for interpretation. If you have a different opinion, feel free to leave it down below in the comments. And so if you guys like the video, leave it a like. 2500 base XP. We'll see you guys out on the high seas. Take care.